What's up, 23? So I want to talk about spiritual hierarchy, right? So this philosophy comes from Kemetic initiation through Ned Naba, Lhasa Musa Big, also known as the Makaru, the truth teller, our beloved ascended master. To me, it's very important to understand spiritual hierarchy, right? Because we understand where we stand in the world, our place in the cosmos, our place spiritually. To me, it's very important to realistically understand the truth. And this is what Kemetic spirituality breaks down. Now, I want to quote my spiritual brother Buhepper: to learn to become limitless, you must know what your limit is, right? Those are his bars, right? So, in doing this, I want to first start off with the world of the world of the dead, right? So, the world of the dead, you have the spirits of the dead of the crossroads. People say of the crossroads, right? Now, these are spirits of the dead that wander. These are your dead relatives that are wandering and they're evolving spiritually, over different times and stuff. They're going through different stages of the dead. They talk about this in the Tibetan Book of the Dead and the Coming Forth by Day, you know, things like that, right? So there's spirits of the dead everywhere, in the crossroads and all, different parts or whatever. But it's a difference between a spirit of the dead and an ancestor. This is what's broke down in Kemetic spirituality. Now, it's up for a human being of the living to elevate a spirit of the dead to an ancestor. This is very important. We'll talk about how to do this at another time. But when a spirit of the dead is elevated to an ancestor, um, this ancestor becomes, evolved. They become completely conscious, right? So, the spirits of the ancestors live in a particular place in the world of the dead. This place is called the Ementet. Now, the Ementet was built by our godfather, who's the first ancestor, Wizard, also known as Osiris, also known as Asar. Now, this place was built, specifically for the ancestors. This place has a library of knowledge. The ancestors, they commune with other divine beings, such as jinns, deities, and even, at times, the gods. Now, we understand this particular hierarchy is very important, right? So, an ancestor understands everything about its descendants, right, of the living. Some ancestors, according to the hierarchy, they know every molecule. They know every past life of their descendants, right? They know their vices. They know their virtues. They know everything that they came in, what they incarnated with, right? They're the ones who gave us particular things to incarnate with, different gens to incarnate with, different deities to incarnate with. All these things are part of the spiritual cycle of the human being to help us evolve, right? um, so, yes, our ancestors are very important. All African spirituality understands the importance of the ancestors, right? When we understand spiritual hierarchy, we understand that the ancestors always are first. They're the ones we go to. These are our spiritual parent. The ancestors, they know all about us. They the ones who sent us here. They the ones who gave us the $1 trillion lottery ticket to participate in this thing called incarnation. Now, the next we go to jinns, okay? So jinns are a form of, they're the divine, a sort of divine being, right? They call jinns, some of them call genies and stuff, but it sounds a little cartoonish, so jinns, right? Now, one of the things I really like about the Quran is they talk about jinns. The Bible don't really talk about jinns, right? But even though the Quran doesn't get it 100% right, jinns are a race of beings that interact with humans and they help, the evolution of human beings, right? This is something that we understand in Kemetic spirituality. A lot of you have jinns, right? Jinns help people do many different things. Jinns, help people with different trades, with different crafts. There are all type of jinns, in nature. Elemental jinns, earth, wind, fire, water, air, wind. There are jinns of, the valleys, of the forests, of the mountains. All right, so next is deities. Now, here's the thing with deities. Um, According, things get kind of confused and lost with this English language, right? So, in English terms, right, or Western terms, a deity is anything that's not any god that's not of the Bible, the Torah, or the Quran. So, a god like Lord Shiva, they might call a deity, or they'll call Zeus a deity. Any other outside gods or whatever called deities, right? If you understand, and that's how I see it. All right, but breaking down a deity, right? A deity, according to Kemetic spirituality, according to Kemetic philosophy, is a particular power, right? Similar to a jinn, but a little bit different. Deities are powers over nature. We have deities in our bloodline. Every bloodline has a particular deity over it. Every destiny line has a particular deity over that, over your maternal line. There are deities, over nature also, over the mountains, trees, and forests, and valleys, and, over the lakes and rivers, all that type of stuff, right? Deities are more over jinns, right? They're in hierarchy. There are certain things that deities won't do. Like deities help our ancestors and stuff that ancestors they can't spiritually do. The ancestors will go to a deity to help, right? When we cohesively, connect to, African spirituality. Now, the Orishas. Now, some people think that the Orishas are, that they're gods and they consider them gods. And, that's to me just like a language thing, right? But to break down a god, right? And for you Westerners, right? A lot of you, man, God is just government orderance of democracy or government over democracy. That's what that God is. If you believe that Obama was a good president, government of democracy is your God. If you believe that Trump, you know what I'm saying, you believe that they fixed the election so Trump wouldn't win, you're also possessed with government of democracy. That's your God. Because you have to understand, a monotheistic God is a political idea that's only 2,000 years old. And that's the truth. And really, when you understand spirituality, you understand that there's hierarchy. There are many gods, right? And according to Kemetic spirituality, there are three main self-created gods, which is the anterior one, which is Ra, the first god to create himself and to make two elements, matter and fire. And the second god, Emin or Amen, who made divine elements of air and water, and Ptah or Tha, also known as Tha, who use those elements to create human beings, right? This is the first spiritual writings, right? These are the first these are the knowledge that we got, right? Kemetic spirituality. This is where all Kemetic this is where all religious ideas came from. Okay? So there are many gods, right? The gods, to be honest, the gods don't give a fuck about human beings. The gods don't care if you live. The gods don't care if you die. It's not their job to. And there's a reason for that. The gods, this is why the gods gave you your ancestors, right? Even though you give this monotheistic God the credit, right? It's still your ancestors that look over you. It's still that gens, some of you, you got gens that, help you in your life very much so. Not saying that you don't work hard, but you have divine help. Some of you know it. You know it, right? You know that you have divine help. You might say it's God or something like that, but in your subconscious, you know. So that's okay, right? Not to take anything away from your hard work, but some people have divine help, and this is how you know the divine chooses to help different people different ways, according to those that it chooses, and if those who are receptive. But ancestrally, when you incarnated, your ancestors, you know, hooked you up with these different powers, right? These different things. It's up to you if you decide to connect with them or not. And some of us connect with them, some of us we don't know. We don't know these things, but we can connect with them in a indirect way, but we connect with these things well. But the gods don't care about human beings, and there's a reason, because human beings are corrupt. The gods are pure. That's the difference between being a god and being a human being. Human beings are corrupt. We walk in bags of filth. You know what I'm saying? Gods don't have to, don't have to eat. The gods don't need to drink alcohol or get high and all this other stuff. You know what I'm saying? The gods don't sweat. The gods don't shit. The gods don't need to pee. You understand? It's a difference, right? The gods are uncorruptible. So the gods that are created, right? All gods that were created used to be human beings. And they elevated themselves by following certain rules of morality and righteousness, and they was able to elevate themselves, right? And this is the only way a God would actually look at a human being and be like, wow, you did it, right? This is what the gods gave us, right? Because, hundreds of thousands of years ago, we asked, the gods asked us, what do human beings want? And we said, well, we want to be like them. And the gods gave us this particular program. Of course, things evolve, right, over time, but that's a different discussion. But this is what happened from the beginning, right? When we wanted to become like the gods, there was a certain protocol to follow. So the gods don't care about you. The gods don't care, okay? It's not their job to. The gods are busy. The gods they're busy maintaining the universe, maintaining the cosmos, maintaining, the world. They don't have time to worry about human beings. So it's only a human being, an entitled human being who could come up with the concept that we can go directly to God and talk to God, right? And even though we have this belief, right, the truth still goes on. we'll say, we're talking to this monotheistic God, and we're friends with this monotheistic God and all this other stuff, but spirituality, the truth of spirituality work just the same, right? It's kind of like this. It's like if, can you just go to the president and talk to him and just say, hey, Mr. President, so and so, I got something to say. It's the same thing with the gods, right? We learn hierarchy of government through the gods, right? This is how we came up with these concepts of kingship, of presidents. These are Kemetic concepts, right? And these things have barriers, right? It has hierarchy. So what, don't you think that the divine has hierarchy also? I mean, human beings, we're so entitled, right? You no difference. There's no difference between a human being and the stars and the trees and stuff. They consider you the same. The insects that you walk down the street and you step on that you don't think about, the gods think of you the same as them. You're no different. They only recognize you when you purify yourself, and that takes for you to die. A human being can't be a god. It doesn't matter how powerful a human being thinks, right? All human beings are vulnerable, some shape, form, or fashion. We all have vulnerabilities. We all are impure. And, but human beings, we're so entitled. We think that we're high on the, evolutionary scale, as they say, right? We think that we're better than the animals. But actually, animals, they have instinctive behaviors of morality. Only human beings, we figure out the way to circumvent nature and circumvent what's natural and what's good. Human beings are very evil, very, very, very terrible, but we have the ability to do great things only on that level that we have sense enough to elevate ourselves. If an ape was able to purify themselves and do its divine duties and obligations, the gods will look at that ape better than you. So that's the thing with spiritual hierarchy. Talk to you soon.